I've worked with snakes for years now. One of the most common questions isn't about feeding, heating or shedding. It's about what's it like keeping them. And the answer completely surprises people. So in this episode, I'm going to go through 5 things that people don't tell you about keeping them. I'm David, this is Norman, welcome to DJ Exotics. So a couple of the elements which aren't really discussed with snakes is not because it's complicated or it's going to put people off. Relatively, it's very, very simple and things that don't affect the care. But it surprises people and people don't talk about it because it's a natural thing that goes through us. So the first thing is actually about the level of attention that the snakes actually give their owners. A lot of people assume that you put a snake inside a vivarium, you clean it out every so often, you give it food every so often, you make sure that you handle it every so often so it's socialised, and you give it a quick health check. But apart from that, there's no interaction between you and the snake. Actually, what you will find is that the snake will want to interact with you more. There are going to be times when the snake will be sat out basking on its log or in the middle of the enclosure, and it'll turn around and it'll be at the glass watching what you're doing. Sometimes the snakes are watching the television through their enclosure. We have one snake that loves watching the Jurassic World series. We have another that loves watching YouTube. These snakes are not just sitting in their enclosure, they're still engaging with the world outside of that enclosure. And they can engage quite enthusiastically. Sometimes they will react to certain people coming into the house more than they will react to others. Their ability to ascertain what's going on around them is amazing, and it really does give them character. And that's one of the finer points of it. They've all got personalities and they can all interact different, and learning about those behaviours, you see snakes in a completely different way. The next part is talking about how nervous people feel when they first get a snake, and that is absolutely normal. A lot of people do feel a little bit anxious when they first get a snake, and it's not because they're worried about being bitten. They're worried about taking care of an animal that they feel doesn't really have the ability to tell them if there's anything wrong or what they want. And in actual fact, snakes can do. A lot of them communicate with us in little subtle ways that we will learn through interacting with them. And the snake will also just fit into your home. It's the same kind of anxiety that some people get when they take home a puppy or a kitten. You still experience the same sort of thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. It actually shows a good level of care because you're actually thinking about your snake, you're actually caring and showing love for your snake. The next one is one that surprises people. People think that they need fancy stuff. Snakes don't care if you spent £100 on the decoration or you've collected it from the wild and you've taken time to clean it down. They don't care. What they care about is what you're doing, and if you're giving them enrichment and if you're giving them a happy life, they will love that just as much. It doesn't matter if you spent £5 or £500. They will appreciate the effort that you give them because they will care more about their interaction with you and the interaction with the object rather than the money that you spent. And that's something very important because a lot of people see these as very expensive animals. And while their initial costs can be relatively high, they don't have to be. So you can get second-hand enclosures. You can make some homemade decorations. You can go out and forage for wood and stone, and you can put those in the enclosure as long as you're disinfecting them down. So you can do that through baking them for 2 hours in the oven at 200 degrees. You can also use F10 cleaner, soaking anything that you find in F10 cleaner and letting it dry and then giving it another wash. These are things that you can do, and you can make absolutely beautiful enclosures using stuff that you've scavenged from outside and even around the house. Some snakes really like toilet rolls or kitchen roll tubes. You can use butter tubs for shedding, ice cream tubs for shedding, or lay boxes, or even turn them upside down, put a hole in them, and you've got a hide. So they're not really that high and expensive pet. The couple of things that you will need to buy are the heating systems. Potentially you might need to buy some lights if you've got one of the diurnal species or a species that requires UV. Thermostat obviously, and also obviously the enclosure, but you can get some of this stuff for second hand. The next thing, and this one's a really interesting one, is that feeding day actually becomes weirdly important. You start basing a whole day around feeding your snake, and that's partly because you've got to get the food out to defrost, you've got to wait for the right time, and then there becomes this anticipation of a snake feeding, and it's really enjoyable. It becomes quite an event. We do feeding on one night here, and it's absolutely fantastic to come in from a very successful feeding night and just go, yeah, everyone's fed. But it does take, I start the process off a good couple of hours beforehand, And I've even planned, oh, that one's in shed, so I won't feed that one today. Or that one's just about to lay eggs, so I won't feed her today. And you start thinking about who I'm going to feed, and then also choosing their food. So you might sit there and just say, well, that one had a really big mouse last week and has been a bit sluggish, so I'll give her a small or medium mouse this week. These sort of things become part of a routine, and it can take a good portion of the day up, which can be really fun. It's like little bits of 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there for one snake. And you base your day around it, and it's absolutely fun. And then watching them feed can be absolutely fascinating as well. One of the things that I would say with the feeding is that beginners often get a little bit more nervous about it, but actually if you've got them from a good breeder, they should be good feeding already, and if your enclosure setup has been done right, the snake will not worry about it. However, it is important to note that there is going to be some anxiety around it, like we've mentioned in the previous point. You will worry about it, and that's absolutely normal, but just remember for the snake just to keep it calm, because they can detect when you're nervous. So the fifth point is actually the connection you build with your snake. Now this is something which, having kept reptiles, I was used to, because I kept leopard geckos and I've worked with horses and other animals, so I kind of knew that I would get kind of attached to the animals. But there are people who sit there and take their snake home thinking it's just going to be a pet that sits in an enclosure, and then suddenly they realise after a couple of weeks that their snake is family and they love it just as much as they love any member of their family. And people get surprised by that. And I can understand that snakes don't have the best reputation for having emotions, but they do. So while it's not the same kind of emotion that you're going to have with, say, a cat or a dog or even a horse, there is going to be a bond there between you and your snake that you're going to love them, and they're going to really appreciate you back, because they know who's going to be bringing them food, who looks after them, and they want to engage with you as well. So if you're thinking about getting a snake, bear these in mind. It is going to be anxious to begin with, but there is a lot of reward for it. You will build a bond with your snake that you will keep for years and years to come, and it's something which can be very rewarding. Especially, young children can get very attached to their snakes. They can, many adults, they do become part of your family. And it's not really about what's the right species. It's more about, is this the right individual for me? And if you're going to choose a snake, make sure that you can actually handle a snake before you make the purchase, because that's always important. If you're not allowed to handle different snakes to see which one you like best, then trust your gut and try somewhere else. Go and speak to a breeder. Breeders should always allow you to handle all the different individuals, unless there's a specific reason, like they're in shed or they've just fed. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you found this useful, let us know in the comments below, and do like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, and bye for now.